That day, the sun reminded us of itself, not with a gentle summer ray, but with a furious, blinding embrace that traveled 93 million miles to erase our world. We were all looking at our phones when we should have been looking at the sky. We were the most connected civilization in history, right up until the moment a giant wave of plasma hit the Earth's magnetic field. And then, silence. It wasn't like a disaster movie. There were no explosions, no sirens. In an instant, everything that had a chip or a battery in it just died. The screens that were our windows to the world became just black mirrors. Maya, like billions of others, looked at her dead phone, then her dead laptop, then her dead TV. The silence in her ears was deafening. The music stopped. The connection was lost. A civilization built on electricity went out, as if someone had flipped a switch. Her grandfather, with his old-fashioned hobbies, hiking and books, always told her, "You can't put all your eggs in one basket, especially if it's an electronic one." She always laughed. Now, she didn't feel like laughing. 3 days passed. The illusion that it was just a temporary outage evaporated along with the last of the food in the fridge. The world plunged into chaos, but it was a quiet chaos, the chaos of an empty stomach and freezing cold at night. The group of survivors gathered at Maya's house was on the edge. Fear was turning into ugly despair. Grown men who ran companies yesterday couldn't start a fire to warm their children. Just then, in the darkest moment, something clicked in Maya's head. A memory. Her grandfather, showing her how to start a fire with a magnifying glass and sunlight. "The sun doesn't just take, it also gives," he used to say. She found an old magnifying glass in a drawer, which she had considered junk. She went outside, gathered a bundle of dry grass with trembling hands, and in 10 minutes, a tiny flame was dancing above it. It wasn't just a fire, it was a rebellion against the darkness. It was the first meaningful act in a new, broken world, and she was the one who did it. This small fire became the center of their new universe, but it couldn't solve all their problems. They needed to find a safer place, find food. But how? All the maps were on dead phones. And again, a memory. A hike with her grandfather. He teaches her to find the North Star. "It's more reliable than any GPS, kiddo. It was here before us and will be here after us." That night, Maya led a small group. She found it, the very same star, and using it to navigate, she led them to an abandoned tourist base by a lake that she remembered from her childhood. A warehouse with canned goods, drinking water in the lake, it was paradise. And when the exhausted but saved people looked at her the next morning, there was something more than gratitude in their eyes. It was trust. At that moment, without realizing it, Maya took on the burden of leadership. But their paradise was short-lived. Another group, larger and more aggressive, came to the base. They had an old army truck that they had managed to start. Diesel, rough mechanics, no chips. They wanted to take everything. It seemed the battle was lost, brute force against a handful of frightened people. But Maya was no longer the girl she was 3 days ago. She knew this forest. She remembered her grandfather's lessons about traps, about how to use the terrain to her advantage. A simple rope stretched between trees on the turn, a deep pit covered with branches on the path to the warehouse. These were primitive technologies, technologies of thought and ingenuity, and they worked. The truck got stuck. The aggressors found themselves in a forest that had become a hostile trap for them. Staring at the fire reflected in the eyes of her people, Maya thought about the sun. It had burned their world to the ground, but the same fire, only small and tame, now warmed them and gave them hope. The flare had erased their civilization, but it couldn't erase them. It only burned away everything unnecessary, everything superficial. What if this wasn't the end of the world? What if it was a calibration? A harsh, painful reboot that made us remember what it means to be human. Not a user, not a subscriber, but a creator. What if the most powerful energy in the universe isn't the fury of a star, but the spark of hope in the eyes of a person who decided not to give up?